Hey guys, Ray here with AmeriLife of North Carolina. I specialize in senior planning. My job is to actually help you by protecting your health, wealth, income, and lifestyle. Listen, Medicare is complicated. For most over the age of 65, this is where you're going to spend a lot of your time, energy, concentration, and money. And I've found that those just getting eligible for Medicare are inundated with junk mail, bad advice, cold calls, telephone marketers, and sales pitches that really just don't help them understand what they're getting into. So I figured today we'd begin at the beginning, right? There are 4 parts to Medicare. We're going to focus today on parts A and B. For my clients, I deliver and complete this checklist, right? What we call a checklist that really will help you better understand what Medicare does, and probably more importantly, what Medicare doesn't do.
So here we are looking at what we call our Medicare checklist for 2020. For 2020, we use this as a simple tool to actually help explain what Medicare does, and probably more importantly, what Medicare does not do. For the purpose of this video, we are just going to go through parts A and B, what they call original Medicare. Part A being the hospital side and part B being the medical side. So for all intents and purposes, we're going to, rather than go through all of the columns, we're just going to focus on the first 2 columns, what Medicare pays and what you would end up paying without any additional insurance. So we're just talking about what Medicare parts A and B would cover. Part A, of course, you're entitled to after working 40 quarters in America. 40 quarters equivalent to roughly about 10 years worth of work here in America entitles you, after paying into the system, to Medicare Part A at no additional charge when it's time for you to accept Medicare at the age of 65, or in other cases, if you are prior disabled or have end-stage renal disease or other issues. So we're going to go through and just kind of explain this. Part A being, again, hospital, part B being medical. Part A, if you were to end up in the hospital for whatever reason, needing to go to the hospital, you would end up paying a surcharge, a fee of $1,408. This is just your gate ticket, your fee for entry, as it were. This does not include doctors, nurses, medical equipment, anything. For all intents, we're talking about this is you in the room with bed and the 4 walls and a window, if you're fortunate enough to have a window. Of course, though, Medicare does pay the balance. It's important to know that that's $1,408 on a per benefit period rate. Medicare operates on a benefit period of 60 days. So understand, when we say per benefit period, that means in any given year, you may be responsible for that fee several times a year. Incredibly bad luck and incredibly poor timing could have you paying that as many as 6 times in a year. If you were in the hospital greater than 60 days, your 61st day through your 90th day would wind up costing you $352 per day. Medicare, of course, paying the balance there as well. Terribly unfortunate, you'd end up being in the hospital at 91 days, 90 days plus. At 91 days plus, you're going to be using up what they call your reserve days, your lifetime reserve days. It's important to note this because these days are, once you use them, you lose them. So these are your lifetime days that come off, I guess, at the end is the best way to describe it. You'd be responsible for $704 per day in that instance, Medicare then picking up the balance. But generally speaking, you don't hear about people spending 60 plus days or 90 plus days in the hospital. The average stay in the hospital winds up being only about 3 to 5 days for each spell of illness. So If you are well enough to leave the hospital, but not quite well enough to go home, you'd be in an extended care facility, a rehab center. And if that's the case, Medicare does, in that case, pick up all costs, with you paying actually nothing out of pocket for the first 20 days. Beyond 20 days, at your 21st through your 100th day, you are responsible for a daily rate and $176 per diem. So $176, and again, Medicare paying the balance. Unfortunately, after 100 days, so from your 101st day on, Medicare pays nothing. So you are on the hook for all costs relating to your stay in that extended care facility. It is important to note that for that stay, for your first 20 days, in order to have Medicare pay for it, there are 3 caveats. The first being it has to be, of course, a Medicare approved facility. The second being that you have to be hospitalized for at least 3 days prior, not including your day of admission. And the third being that you must be getting better on a day-by-day basis. You must be showing progressive, successive wellness. You need to be getting better progressively through your stay. Now, should you need custodial care, this is where you can't perform certain functions of daily living, dressing, eating, transferring, toileting, that sort of thing. Then custodial care, you need to be aware that Medicare does not cover any of that. Medicare does not pay for those costs. You are on the hook for everything. The average costs of these facilities currently range anywhere from about $4,000 to upward of $10,000 monthly. But there are options that you have available to you. And in later videos, we can go through and explore some of those options. If you have any questions prior to that, please, I welcome you giving me a call. I'd love to talk to you and see how I might be able to be of service and suggest some of these options. Now let's talk about Part B, again, the medical side. Most people think that Part B is free as well. This is incorrect. Part B comes with a premium. For most people in 2020, the Part B premium begins at $144.60. Understand that there is a variance to this premium based on income. So based on income, you could wind up paying upward of $400 monthly, depending on your income status. That's something that probably needs to be looked at if you're concerned. Additionally, there's also a Part B deductible that is $198 annually. So after you pay $198 per instance, or annually rather, then you will be responsible for the remaining balance, with Medicare paying 80% of any approved charges, and you being responsible for not only 20% of the remaining approved charges, but also 100% of any excess charges. And in later videos, I'll actually go through and explain in greater depth and detail what those excess charges are and how those come about, and how that responsibility might affect you. But for all intents, but for the time being, this should suffice to just kind of explain to you at a bird's eye view what Medicare does, and once again, probably more importantly for most of you, what Medicare does not.